Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to breaking news of Jerusalem's Gate. I've been reporting on this for so many years, and I've sat back and watched this civil war in Syria grow in humanitarian crisis every single day. It's like the world has turned its back against the suffering, the innocent suffering that's being bombed and everything. I mean, their homes, their cities, they're left to go out in the desert at the mercy of the world. Now, there's been intense offensive by Syrian government forces, Assad's forces. Now, we know that Russia backs and is involved in this heavily, but there's been a tremendous offensive in Aleppo and Idlib of Assad's government forces against the rebels. Now, I'm not trying to tell you who's in the right or who's in the wrong, but all I see is the women and children and the men and the elderly being left to the mercy of the world. And it's not a pretty picture, ladies and gentlemen. I've been reporting on it. I've been telling you that keep your eyes on Syria, keep your eyes on Syria, keep your eyes on Syria. Now, here's a new twist. Turkey stated that they may intervene if the catastrophe continues. So that I don't know how that would go, if that's for sure or anything. And I'm fixing to show you something which I've showed you a million times. But I have to keep telling you, not only for the people that views the video for the first time, just to refresh our minds what's going on. Okay, Isaiah 17:1. I hope you can see this. Isaiah 17:1. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. We know that's the main point of Assad's country is Damascus. And this prophecy that was given way before Christ has yet to be fulfilled. Now, some theologians, like I said on the last video, state that they truly believe that Isaiah 17:1 will be fulfilled in this civil war. No one knows. No one knows. But severe suffering of the women and children and elderly and the men, and this offensive, people actually in their kitchens cooking dinner, and a bomb dropped through them and kill them all, as you'll see in this video. Now, as you know, I always accompany a brief news break with a video to let you see actually with your eyes what's going on in places like Aleppo and Idlib, Syria. So we stay in prayer, ladies and gentlemen. These signs will continually getting stronger and stronger and more frequent. Wars, rumors of wars, commotions, as we approach the end of the age. Now, I stated numerous times it's equivalent to a woman giving birth. The contractions get more severe and more frequent as she gets closer to bringing birth to her child. Well, it's the same way with God sending these signs and let this happen to the world to warn us. And these signs will just get stronger and more frequent and more intensified as we get closer to the return of Christ. No one knows. I mean, is Christ going to come before the day of God? And that's the day of God is when God just totally declares war on this world. And some people believe, a lot of people believe that the rapture will happen before that. The Bible says we're not appointed to wrath. Some people interpret that as stating that we're not appointed to the tribulation which is to come. But nowhere in the Bible states clearly. So there's no definite answer if the rapture is going to save us from the day of God, or are we going to go through it. I was always raised to be taught that the rapture will happen first. I would like to think the rapture would happen first, but I do not know. God's not giving that information out. He's keeping that to himself. Here comes the video. Once again, breaking news. Assad's government forces is on which is Russian-backed, is on a major offensive in Idlib in the Aleppo area. The suffering is increased, and Turkey is claiming that if the atrocities continue, they may intervene. We'll keep you updated. Here comes a very important video. We love you. God bless you.
Smoke darkens the skies above Aleppo's countryside. Syrian Russian-backed forces have launched an offensive to seize the area. Syrian armed group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is fighting back. The new battlefront is close to the capital Damascus in the north. But civilians are caught in the fighting.
My uncle's house was hit by a missile. His wife was in the kitchen and she was killed. The strike was so severe that the missile penetrated into the lower floor.
Government forces have been making important gains, most recently the town of Marad al-Numan. Nearby in Sarakeb, fighting is also taking place in densely populated areas. That's despite a ceasefire deal agreed between Turkey and Russia. It's another strategic town as it's near the M4 highway that runs west to east across Idlib. The casualty numbers are growing on all sides. A center for rescue workers, the White Helmets, was reduced to rubble and some wounded. Fighting has extended to the northwestern town of Al-Bab, which was under ISIL control 3 years ago. One missile hit the Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army and opposition positions. Turkey has since sent military reinforcements to Idlib. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned on Friday that Turkey could intervene if the violence escalates. Airstrikes and a ground advance by the Syrian government has given people only one option: to flee, packing their cars and trucks with whatever they can carry. Others haven't had homes for years, forced to move on to other places several times. Now some live in makeshift camps on the side of the road.
I don't know where we are. I don't even know which way is north or south. We all suffered so much in Khan al-Assal with all the airstrikes.
If we don't get help, we'll go to sleep hungry. We don't own anything. We can't afford to buy food.
And the young are suffering the most. The UN says the situation is turning into a crisis for children. More than 6,500 have been forced from their homes in the past week.
There are about 3 million people in this area. These are civilians who are trapped in a war zone. So, this is why we're so shocked and horrified at the continued military onslaught on the civilian population, because, the international humanitarian law must apply.
Aid groups say there are shortages of food, water and medicine. And if the bombardment doesn't stop, it could soon create one of Syria's worst humanitarian disasters. Rahila Mohammed, Al Jazeera.